Hello and welcome to the last Canada Brew for a while, I think. I'm reporting here from Toronto in Canada. And big shout out to everyone. It is Friday. No, it's not. It's Saturday. I'm losing track of the days here. It is Saturday, the 13th of September 2025. Big shout out to everyone in the chat. We've got One Angry Pagan there. We've got Ivan Ambrose. We've got Chris C. Got Saz in there as well. Got Jane Lockwood. We've got Elle in the chat. Hello to everyone. Ernie Burns saying, how do every peeps? Hello, Ernie Burns and others. If you'd like to join our friends, and we are friends here, in the chat, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button, wait for 1 minute, and you'll be able to join in. And just don't be a troll. Don't forget, if you're a troll, we will mute you and boot you. Okay? There's like a million other places on the internet, and that's not even exaggerating, where you can go and be a troll. And people will go, oh, thank you for being a troll. You've ruined someone's day. Well done, you. But we don't accept that kind of thing here. This is a safe space for people who aren't gobshites. Anyway, talking about people who are gobshites, though, we need to talk a little bit about the fallout from the assassination this week of right-wing influencer, Trump ally and fascist Charlie Kirk, and the disturbing curtailment of free speech that has come in its wake. So isn't it interesting, boys and girls? Isn't it interesting that when a celebrity, someone rich, some nepo baby, some privately educated ponce comes on the TV and says something disgraceful or accidentally, I don't know, rapes a bunch of women, suddenly they're being cancelled. Look at me, I'm being cancelled. Oh, help, help, I'm being cancelled. When the reality is, they will still be rich and famous, no matter what they do, not what they say. Even if they go to jail for a bit, they'll get out. They'll still be rich and famous. They're never going to be living on the streets. They're never going to be scrabbling down the back of the sofa trying to find 20p to put in the meat to keep the lecky on. They don't know that life. They never will. They never will. The real people who are getting really cancelled are the people who are using the free speech that Charlie Kirk went on and on and on about as being the most important thing, that you can say whatever you want, no matter how offensive. This is the guy who said, after Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked with a hammer, he suggested that someone bail out the attacker of Paul Pelosi. The attacker. So, naturally, once he carked it, some people on the internet may have said, this isn't a bad thing. They may have said, I don't care. They may have done a little dance. I don't know. But that has led to people being sacked and fired and kicked out and made let go and made redundant all over the world, but particularly in America. You know, that bastion of free speech, where if it's a Republican celebrating the fact that a lawmaker's husband was viciously attacked with a hammer, that's just comedy, that's just bants, that's just, you know, freedom of speech. But when it's us, when it's the little people, the people who aren't born with a silver spoon up their arse, what do they say? You're sacked, you're fired. Thank God I work for myself. I know my boss is a dickhead, like, but at least, you know, he can't fire me. It's a mad situation. We're supposed to be in this new golden age, aren't we? This gilded age of free speech, where freedom only applies if you're rich enough to survive losing your job. You know, and you know, now having an opinion comes with a P45. If you have certain jobs in certain circles, they're calling now for the president-elect of Oxford University to stand down, because he wrote, Charlie Kirk has been shot, lol. I could see Charlie Kirk writing that exact same message about someone who got shot on the other side. But Charlie Kirk wouldn't have lost his job for that. He would have been given more money by the Republicans who backed him. So the same people who cried and whinged and gnashed their teeth and rendered their clothes asunder about being cancelled. Come, listen to me being cancelled. World Tour 1995. I've been cancelled. Come on, come and see me talk about me being cancelled. Come buy my best-selling book. Help, I've been cancelled. Come watch me in all these movies about me being cancelled. I mean, we live in a world in which, let's get this straight, Mel Gibson hasn't really been cancelled. He still crops up in movies. He was still in Meet the Parents. Oh, not Meet the Parents. What was it called? The Stepfather one. Really, really bad movie with Marky Mark. And I think maybe the guy from Anchorman, who we don't like anyway. It was, yeah. Anyway, so even celebrities who have done the most horrific shit, they don't really get cancelled, do they? Do they? Haiti Hopkins is still fannying around, making an arse of herself. That mad woman who was Prime Minister. Oh, hang on. There were a few, weren't there? Liz Truss, Prime Minister for 44 days, was it? 44 days. And that she goes around now, doing these talks, being interviewed by people, giving talks. People are paying to hear what she has to say. No, Liz Truss. Oh my God, she hasn't been cancelled, despite hammering the British economy to the tune of £425 billion hole that she blew in our pension funds. People are still paying higher mortgages now because of her to this day, and they will be for years. I can't even. What's in the chat here? There's a trolling website set up by libs of TikTok with people getting doxxed and death threats. That's nice. Thanks, Diz. Chris says, what amazes me is he's having an open coffin funeral service. With the gunshot wound in his neck, you'll think it'd be a closed coffin funeral. I suppose he didn't get his face. I think that's a bit morbid, to be honest with you, but, people bury people grieve in different ways. Ivan says, I've not heard of Charlie Kirk because I rarely engage in American politics for my own health and well-being. That's probably good. Chris C, don't worry, Graham. Ben Capino has said he will continue Charlie Kirk's legacy. Oh, great. Well, let's hope that he does. In one way, at least. Anyway, Alvone, Donald rolled out the red carpet for a man that constantly finishes ones he doesn't agree with. You mean Putin? Yeah, he did. He had him in his car. Oh, matron. So look, Charlie Kirk, far-right agitator, shot and killed by someone who is even more far-right than him, because of a beef that he was having with Nick Fuertes, because they were accusing each other of not being right-wing enough. So you had the situation with the Spider-Man, the meme of the Spider-Man, pointing at each other, going, you're not right-wing, I know you're a fascist, no, you're a fascist, you're not fascist enough, you're not a Nazi. Basically, this dickhead, this kid, Mormon kid, white Christian male, turned up and decided to, carry out what seems to be Nick Fuertes' wishes. Backpedaling on that now, aren't they? Pretty fast. Backpedaling like crazy. Can we just reiterate how many American people have been assassinated in the last 20 years by leftists? 0. Big duck egg. Not a single one. I mean, it will happen, I'm sure, at some point. That's the iron law of statistics. But, liberals, they generally just sign a petition or go on a march, wear a pussy hat. Yay. They'll write a strongly worded letter like that dickhead in the bloody Senate. What's his name? The leader of the Senate. What's the Senate leader? Chuck Schumer. Thanks, Doug. Chuck Schumer. Just don't worry, everyone. I've written Trump a strongly worded letter. Chuck, come here, dickhead. Right, listen. Trump can't read. He can't read. Okay, you may as well have sent him a picture. Here you go. Anyway, so Darren Christian, your boss is beautiful. Oh, thanks, Darren. That is very sweet of you. That's a very kind thing to say this early in the morning for me. I know it's an afternoon for you. It's actually overcast here today. I think Toronto is sad that I'm leaving. Thanks for the super chat, mate. That's really kind. I'm sad that I'm leaving. I fucking love it here. Toronto is really cool. Last night I went to Toronto Island, which is a short boat ride away from here in Toronto. So you walk past the stadium and you go down to the old docks, and they have an island where a few rich people live there, but generally speaking, people go over there to party. There's a lovely little island cafe over there. There's a clothing optional gay beach, which we didn't go to, but I'm so up for that at some point in my life over there on Toronto Island. It was really cool, despite the fact, as I pointed out last night, islands aren't as cool as they used to be. Thanks a bunch, Jeffrey Epstein. Anyway, that was nice. Oh, I'm talking about Catherine. Says Taryn. Oh, I thought you were talking about me. I thought you were saying I'm your... Well, yeah, she is. Okay, I'll let you off. Can't argue with that. She is rather delightful. Even Luigi is not a leftist. Yep, I know. This is the thing, because leftists, or leftists, where does this term come from? Liberals tend to not advocate for violence. We're more Gandhi. We're more Professor X than Magneto. We're more MLK rather than Malcolm X. I'm just saying, in general, that's just the way it is. But yeah, I'm sure something's going to happen. America is a country of 330 million people with 380 million guns. I mean, anything can happen, and it generally does. But on the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, a bunch of kids were killed in Colorado. Again, in a school shooting, the 47th school shooting of the year. We're only in the week, 38 of the year or something. And yeah, they've already had 47 school shootings. In 2024, in Britain, there were no school shootings. In 2023, there were no school shootings. In 2022, there were no school shootings. I could do this all the way back to 1996. No school shootings. Just none. Just we had Dunblane. I think that was 95. And that was it. That was the end of that. We're never, ever going to put our children in the way of, in the way of arms companies' profits. But in America, they hold their babies in front of themselves and go, hey, it's okay. We've got to protect those profits. It's weird the way people go about the profits of these massive corporations. It's really, really important that these corporations make as much money as possible. And so people vote to keep down wages. They vote to make it so these big companies don't have to pay as much tax as they should. They vote for governments that actively subsidise the fossil fuel industry. Does the fossil fuel industry need more money? Does it need bailing out? Does it? Really? You're kidding me, aren't you? But yeah, Plymouth, says one angry pagan. Yeah, I agree. Anyway, so what's happened is Charlie Kirk got pew-pewed. And instead of uniting people, like the right are ever going to do that, the right used his death as an excuse to launch a witch hunt. And this led to not people on the right, having a little bit of, self-reflection and thinking, hey, this guy advocated for open carry on campuses. This guy advocated for public executions in front of children. This guy advocated for people to, have to die to maintain the Second Amendment. He said that was a sacrifice that he was willing to make. So he did. As I said last night on the Friday Night Social, I think this is what he would have wanted. I think this is how he would have wanted to go. So am I sad about it? No, I'm not sad about it at all. He got what he wanted. There you go. So it shows you that dreams and wishes sometimes do come true. Now we're seeing dozens of people fired or suspended or publicly shamed for posting anything that is less than reverent about Kirk. And there's teachers in Florida. And there was a teacher who called his death a close second to the obituary that she had hoped for, and she was fired. There was a school counsellor who noted that Kirk once said gun deaths were worth it to preserve gun rights, said she wouldn't cry, and she was fired as well. There you go, freedom of speech. There was a Secret Service agent who called Kirk hateful, because Kirk was hateful, fired again. There was an MSNBC analyst called Matthew Dowd. He suggested that Kirk's hate-fueled rhetoric might have contributed to his death. He was fired, he apologised, and then called it a right-wing media mob. I mean, he was fired for saying that Kirk's hate-fueled rhetoric may have contributed to his death. So he was fired for telling the truth. So it's not even just an opinion on that matter, And he said might. He said it might have contributed to his death. It was just like, well, I don't know. I'm just asking questions. And the people on the right, the people with money, the people with, the connections, the Nepo babies, when they say it, they get away with it, don't they? Every fucking time. Carolina Panthers comm staffer asked, why are you sad on Instagram? She was sacked. Phoenix Sun reporter declined to mourn an evil man and was fired. And a New Orleans firefighter called the bullet a gift from God. And he was investigated and then eventually forced out. And then there was a teacher in Oregon who said Kirk's death brightened up their day and was fired as a result. And this is not about democracy. This is not about freedom of speech. This is about fear, intimidation, and control. Clearly, don't say anything bad about the bad man who got killed in a bad way by another bad man who was influenced by the bad men. Yeah, don't say anything about it. But we've got free speech still, to an extent, in the UK. And I'm never intending to go back to America anytime soon. So I guess we can say what we like. But the grotesque hypocrisy at the root of this is the right's fake free speech principle. These are the same people that screamed in our faces, inches from our face, with a spittle peppering our cheeks, screaming that cancel culture is destroying free speech because rich bigots like J.K. Rowling faced a Twitter backlash. People said that's not a very nice thing to say. And yet when actual censorship happens, firing, blacklists, public shaming campaigns, they cheer it on. It's free speech for the people who are on side, the people who are rich. They don't. This is the thing about everything that the rich oligarch motherfuckers do to us. They want their rules, their way of living, not to be impeded, and they don't want us having the same rights as them because they genuinely believe that if they give us rights, that's detrimental to their rights. If you are accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. So the idea of you or I having the opportunity to say what we really think about this matter, which is yay, might be yay. They don't want us. They don't want us to say that. They want us to fall in line and read from the pre-prepared script and say, no, this is a terrible, terrible thing that happened. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. I say he was a father. I don't give a fuck. He was a father. What? He's got a couple of sex trophies. That make him a good man. I mean, if Hitler had a couple of kids, we'd be like, oh no, we better not invade Germany, lads. He's got kids. Whoa. Bollocks. And so being called out by the public, right, being cancelled is not censorship. Losing your job because a political mob demanded your head is censorship, and it's happening on the watch of the people who go on and on about free speech. So some speech is freer than others, clearly, and we're back in the old Animal Farm territory, aren't we? It's two legs bad, four legs good, and then it's like, four legs good, but two legs better. And yeah, we got the Laura Loma, who had huge goes in the past against Charlie Kirk, has now done a full reverse ferret, and has said, prepare to have your whole future professional aspirations ruined. And there's a guy called Scott Presler who's been actively doxing teachers for what he calls celebrating Kirk's death. And that could be as innocuous as saying that maybe some of the horrible things he said came back to haunt him. And this is part of a wave of broader authoritarianism, with the Trump administration ordering the Pentagon to hunt down anyone who mocked Kirk, and Florida's education board proactively banning school staff from posting personal viewpoints on this, which is against the First Amendment of the Constitution. I can't emphasize that enough. We hear about free speech so much with people who don't really understand what it means or what it is, especially when you hear British people talk about it, usually on the far right. Like, oh, we've got freedom of speech. No, we don't, mate. Shut up, dickhead. We don't have freedom of speech in our country. There is no protected freedom of speech in Britain, right? All you can do is say stuff that isn't libelous or slanderous, right? If you do, then, or print something that's libelous. If you do, then you can be taken to court. If you shout fire in a crowded theatre when there's no fire and people die in the resulting stampede, you can be held culpable for that. You can't claim there's some kind of mythical free speech law, registered in the Magna Carta of 1215. No, it doesn't work like that. Free speech as an amendment to the Constitution is an American idea, and it doesn't count for private individuals, i.e., if I'm the landlord of a pub and someone wants to come into my pub and read a massive screed about how much of a dickhead I am, I can bar them from my pub. I can say, hey, dads, calm down. No, I can bar them from my pub, right? Because it's my pub, right? In the same way, if I have a website and I have a bulletin board on the website and someone posts something that I don't like, I am within my rights to bar them from my site. When we do these shows and someone writes something really obnoxious or racist or transphobic or homophobic or bigoted in the chat, I am within my rights to say, no, I don't want you commenting on my videos anymore. I don't want your words coming up on the screen while there's no God-given right. What it is about the government of America, not even our country, but America, not being able to tell people to not say certain things. And what's happening in America right now? Literally, the Pentagon has been ordered to tell people not to say certain things. A clear violation of the First Amendment to the Constitution, but if that ever goes into the Supreme Court, you know which way the Supreme Court's going to come down. Because 6 of them are fascist scumbags. This is state repression, This is like literal state repression and trying to make it so that free speech is only for the rich. And, like I said earlier, I can say what I like because I work for myself, but other people can't. And free speech isn't free if you've got a boss that can sack you, if you live paycheck to paycheck, if you can be doxxed by right-wing mobs for one sarcastic post. And, getting doxxed in the UK is terrifying. Imagine getting doxxed in America, where every knobhead's got a gun, and you got kids. And then, the built-in privilege of these free speech warriors like Kirk and Musk and Trump. They don't have bosses. They can't be fired. They can say something vile, and if people object, they can go, oh, we're being cancelled, while cashing another fucking check. It's not a marketplace of ideas. It's a rigged casino where only the house can win, where only the established elite, where only some nepo baby fuckwit with a plastic face whose dad is banging his baby sister, who's owned a fucking emerald mine in apartheid South Africa. If you're one of them, you're fine. You can say what you like. Yeah. But if you weren't born with a dad with an emerald mine who's banging your little stepsister, you can't. Incest for the rich, I guess. And then you've got this point that this is all down to this politics of fear, and that's what Trump and that's what Musk and Farage, Bolsonaro, who's gone down for 27 years, yes, Erdogan, Putin, Orban, this is what they trade in. Millie in Argentina, they trade in fear. It is always the politics of fear. That person's coming to take your cookie, and you need to kill them before they do. Never mind that they're sitting there on literally a throne made of cookies. Ignore that. That this person's coming. This person's coming to take it. And this wave of cancellations and actual sackings, cancellations aren't real. You kicked off a social media platform, so fucking what? There's others. Don't worry, dickheads. There's others. I mean, Russell Brand, has he been cancelled? He's been accused of sexual assault by dozens of women, right? And yet he's still on Grindr or whatever the fuck it's called. No, Rumble. He's still on Rumble, which is, I think it's owned by Peter Thiel, it's owned by the dad of the banjo player from Mumford and Sons. I think I'm making that, it sounds like I'm making that up, but I don't think it is. Rumble, it's like YouTube for twats, right-wing YouTube, and he's on there spreading RFK Jr. style lies. RFK Jr. born into so much wealth, it's ridiculous, part of the American aristocracy, the Kennedy family, the Kennedy clan. And ordinary people, though, we're now fearing expressing even mild opinions. And people are having to, are deleting their accounts. They're not talking about politics at all. That's the point. If you could ask a right-winger, a fash, a trumper, or a refucker, if you could ask them what they really want, what they really, really want, it won't be a zigar. It will be for you to shut up. It'll be to me to shut up. It will be to anyone who disagrees with them to shut up. Because when we argue against them, it makes them feel bad because their arguments are shit. Their worldview is awful, and they just say the most horrific things all the time, and they don't want anyone to counter that. These people are, generally speaking, violent people. They're violent in their everyday lives. You saw this where 2 in every 5 people who were arrested last summer at the violent riots that were triggered by the horrific incident in Southport. The 2 in 5 of them had previous convictions for domestic violence. Does that come as a surprise to anyone? Joe, will come as a surprise for me if the hundreds of people who have been arrested for supporting Palestine action, even though the government won't tell us why we're not allowed to support Palestine action, if the hundreds of people, if 2 out of 5 of them were done for it, had been done for it, had it on the criminal record already, I guarantee that 99% of those old ladies will have no criminal record at all. At all. This is the first blemish on their CV. Happily, a lot of them are retired, so it's not going to affect them getting a job going forward. But oh my God. But this is the point. They want to silence everyone who disagrees with them. They want to frighten critics into shutting up. And this is how authoritarian cultures thrive. Not by outlawing criticism, but by making people too scared to criticize. And this is the future. This is the future that the right wing want. And no one should lose their job for an opinion on a situation like this unless it is actively bigoted, like it's actively racist, it's homophobic, it's transphobic, because that will directly affect their ability to do their job by its very nature of you working with any other people. If you put on social media, I hate this entire group of people, then it's going to make it very difficult for anyone who comes from that group of people to work with you in the future. So I can understand that. But for this, you know, this is basically the mass silencing of us all, you know. And, you know, dissent is healthy and criticism is healthy. And do you know what? Gallows humour is part of human coping. You know, I don't know, some doctors have got really, really dark senses of humour because they need it to get on with life. You ever meet an undertaker? Jesus Christ, they've got dark sense of humour. You know, and if you're going to be a free speech absolutist, like the likes of Kirk and Dan Tapino and who's the guy who speaks like Kermit, the Canadian guy? Jordan Peterson. How can anyone take someone who speaks like this seriously? I mean, come on, please, Miss Picky. Kermit. Jesus Christ. They call themselves free speech absolutists, but they're not. They're not at all. They want to be, they want it so that free speech means that they can scream anything and you must applaud. But if you say anything, you know, you can be destroyed. And you could take one of Charlie Kirk's own fucking tweets and just change the name from the person that he was targeting against, Paul Pelosi, for instance, and changing it to Charlie Kirk. And you lose your job. You lose your job. I mean, come on. The right do not want free speech. They want impunity for themselves and silence for everyone else. So, don't stop speaking. Please. And, just as long as what you're saying isn't bigoted and will bring violence against a group of people who don't deserve it. And, I don't think any group deserve violence. Maybe some individuals who, the world would be a better place without. Let's just put it that way. But I don't advocate for the death penalty for anything. For anything. These people do. These people want to give the death penalty to people for all kinds of reasons. I mean, they're killing people at the moment in North Korea for watching TV. For watching Netflix. They were found watching Netflix and they're being put to death. And that's the future that the fascists want in this country. Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. That's very kind of you, sir. The US judiciary should not be political. No country's judiciary should be political. Yeah, but America's system is fucked. And the problem with the American system is they think it's the most wonderful system in the world, so they're never going to change it. Even though you're running a 21st century democracy on a scrap of paper written in the 1700s, which was applicable in the 1700s when we had slaves. That was cool. All men are created equal, apart from those slaves. Yeah. Kirsty, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. The rich are taught entitlement. The general public are taught tolerance. Yeah, Absolutely. And Wanga Pagan says, free speech absolutists can barely tell you what absolutism really is, lol. Yeah, absolutely, they can't. It's all about control. It is. It is all about control. And Martin says, oh my God, doctors and nurses really do have dark humour. But it gets you through. It gets you through. And it's like when we talk about stuff on here and we say, we do the Friday night social and we're laughing and then we'll go on to like a serious topic. We'll be talking about like cancer. We'll be talking about the abuse of women. And then we'll go back to just talking bollocks about something. And we need that in our lives. If it was just bad news bulletins, if it was just all the time, just this oppressive, like, oh my God, isn't everything awful? We wouldn't get up in the morning. We wouldn't get up in the morning. But when something like this happens, I don't think people should feel bad about, feeling a little bit kind of like, well, that's shrotting fueling for you, isn't it? I think it's fair enough. This guy advocated violence. He advocated to have weapons like the weapon that this knobhead killed him with on campus, open carry, weapons that can kill, high velocity rounds that can kill someone from 200 meters away with a scope. Like, how can you just buy that as a 22-year-old and just, that's okay, that's America for you. It's all right. And this is the thing. It's like if your idea of free speech only works for billionaires, it's not free. It costs a lot of money. Maybe you should call it expensive speech. Maybe you could call it speech for the rich. It's just power. It's just power. That's all it is. And power should always, always be questioned. So, I know there's a few people on here who might not necessarily have a boss or are operating under a pseudonym. So, don't worry about me. I'm not going to cancel you. But for saying these, pointing out the obvious truth of the matter, which is that this guy lived by the sword. He lived by the gun. He did a lot for selling guns. I mean, even in his death, he's done a lot for selling guns. The arms industry is doing great. We've seen the shares in stocks and in arms companies. I always say this. I said this after the shooting in Las Vegas. The guy with a high-powered rifle was just shooting people in the crowd in Las Vegas in, I think, 2017. I was like, if you have stocks and shares if you trade in stocks and shares, buy shares in arms companies now. Buy the gun dealers, the gun manufacturers, buy shares in those companies. Every time something like this happens, their share price goes up. Because people go out and buy guns. They buy more ammunition because they think that will keep them safe. When the reality is, if you have a gun in your house, you're 7 times more likely to be killed with the gun. Because we all get a little sad now and again. And this is this is the reality, the vast majority of people who die from being murdered with a gun in America. It's not gangsters, mate. It's not gangbangers or drug dealers or, I mean, a lot of them do, but the number one killer with a gun is your spouse. Generally a male, generally a man, a husband, a boyfriend, killing their girlfriend. Anyway, Trump's over his friend dying already. When asked about it, he was holding up. All he could do was talk about the construction starting on his shiny new ballroom. Yes, SG, should we read that out? Come on, this is got to be fun. Okay, Trump response, Kirk ballroom. Okay, look, this is stunningly off topic. I mean, Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay, no, that's Trump skirts question. Trump speaks about his new ballroom. I want to get the actual quote. I saw this on social media. Let's have a look. Okay, so Trump was asked how he was holding up after the shooting death of his friend, Charlie Kirk. The president was asked about his last 3.5 days of being on a personal level after the aftermath of Kirk's death. And he said, I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. an absolute magnificent structure. It'll be done very nice, and it will be the best anywhere in the world. And then walked off without an additional word about his friend's death. I think he's forgotten it's happened already. David Faulkner, thank you very much for the $38 all the way from Hong Kong. Thank you. I have empathy for Charlie Kirk's daughters witnessing the death of their dad, Charlie Kirk. I don't believe empathy exists. Didn't believe empathy exists and was a concept invented by the left. Yes, again, that was something I haven't even mentioned yet. He said that empathy isn't real. It was just invented by the left to make you feel bad about stuff. So why should we have empathy about him? I genuinely don't. I generally cannot find an iota of myself that feels empathetic for his situation. He created his own petard and he was hoisted by his own petard. You allow people to open carry on campuses. You take away rules about assault rifles and about how much ammo you can buy and scopes you can buy to kill people from a long distance away. You tell people not to have empathy. Empathy is a weakness. Don't care about anyone or anything but yourself. And there are people out there. We call them sociopaths. So this, to me, one less fash, one less sociopath. Am I going to cry? Am I fuck? You know? And the only reason why, for the first 2 days after it happened, I didn't really talk about it on my shows, except on the Friday night last night, is I just didn't want to attract any of these trolley bastards who'll come on here and go, I'm going to get you, I'm going to murder you and your family. Blah, blah, blah. Keyboard warrior fucks. I can't be arsed with the stress. I just can't be arsed with it. You know? Fuck off. I like I say at the beginning of the show, there's a million other places on the internet to be a gobshite. Go be a gobshite somewhere else, just not on this show. And it says, yeah, 100% hateful person, yeah. He said that he wanted public executions and he wanted children to see public executions. So his kids did. And it's going to fuck them up for life. I think that's quite sad. It's not their fault. It's not their fault that their dad was a fucking lunatic who wanted to go in this particularly weird way, in a brutal fashion in front of, you know, the world's attention. You know, those kids, those clips of him being killed are going to be shown to those kids. They're going to see it. They're going to see it again and again and again. They're going to see it every time they close their eyes. But Charlie Kirk manufactured that exact situation to happen because, I guess, just like a suicide bomber on 9/11, he wanted to die a martyr. I suppose they weren't suicide bombers, were they? They were suicide hijackers. Yeah, same thing though. But he, you know, I guess he was a true believer. He thought that by doing this, he'll go to the VIP section of heaven. And I got some news for you, Charlie. If heaven exists, you ain't getting in. You ain't getting in, mate. You're going the bad place. You are so going the bad place. Well, you're in the bad place already, I guess. Not that I think it exists. Anyone else got their heating on? Oh, not here. It's quite warm here. One Angry Pagan says, I have zero sympathy towards Charlie Kirk. I just don't. I don't advocate political violence, but Kirk had it coming with his inflammatory rhetoric. But here's the thing, One Angry Pagan, it's what he would have wanted. It's like being happy that someone won the lottery for them. You're like, oh, well, I'm happy. I'm happy they got what they wanted. This is what he wanted. Clearly, everything that he did in his life, everything he said and did was leading up to the moment in which some far-right fascist twat decided to put a bullet in him. You know, like, he said things that precipitated this occurrence happening. And it did. Happy days, you know? Kirk's wife said to his kid, Daddy is going to work with Jesus. Jesus would hate him. Jesus would have nothing to do with him. Don't forget, you know, Jesus went into the temple and flipped over the tables and whipped the money lenders, you know. I mean, he wasn't all peace and love, you know. If he disagreed with you on certain things, and I think he would have disagreed with Charlie Kirk on absolutely everything. On absolutely everything. But there you go. And Charlie Kirk hated Jesus. Charlie Kirk and all of those MAGA knobheads, they hate Jesus with a vengeance because Jesus is woke. Jesus is woke. He says to be nice to people, to be empathetic, to care for refugees. He says to care for your neighbor, to love your neighbor like you love yourself. he had a reiteration of the golden rule, which was invented years before by Confucius, and possibly years before that by another philosopher, which was do unto others as you would like to be done to you. You know, if you don't enjoy something happening to you, don't do it to other people, dickheads. Which is a nice way to live, actually. There shouldn't be 10 commandments. There should just be one, and that's the commandment. Then again, I suppose there are some sadomasochists out there, and you're like, well, yeah, you can't really go out doing that to other people. So within reason. But yes, the kids have nothing to do with it. They should be loved, says Paul. Well, I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for them because I felt sorry for them before he died because they were the kids of Charlie Kirk. You know, they're not going to have a normal upbringing. They're not going to have a normal life. And yeah, I feel for them. It's not their fault. His wife, it was their choice. She married the country member, the member of the country. Shit, just demonetized this video. Bollocks. Got to stop swearing. She married him, right? You know. Here's my prediction. I think she's going to remarry within 6 months. That's a little prediction there for you. He said it was worth having a few deaths every year to keep the Second Amendment. At least he didn't die a hypocrite in the end. Yeah, Kat, you're absolutely right. Like you're right. There's no two ways about it. He wanted this to happen, and it fucking happened. Well, there you go. Sometimes dreams do come true. Right, okay, so we're going to go over to the papers now to see what the papers are saying about the thing. We've got an advert here for a dental clinic. Go and get your turkey teeth. Yeah, we've got. Oh, sorry, just one sec. I've lost your beautiful messages, your big beautiful messages. We've got Burnham prepares a challenge to Starmer, which I don't really understand because he's not an MP. Although there is a Manchester MP who might be standing down due to ill health, and Burnham might be standing in his place, might take, you know, because there'll be a by-election as a result. And there's a picture there of Lily James looking, you know, gorgeous, but there you go, privately educated, of course, on the front cover there. And then we've got Trump ally assassination, got him, Charlie Kirk's murder suspect, held after his dad turned him in. His dad. The world's richest man buying up Oxford here on this side of the Daily Telegraph, at the top, just above the masthead. And Lineker's shown just why we don't miss him. All right, mate. He just won an award, didn't he? Trump team to blame COVID jabs for the deaths of 25 children. Fucking irresponsible bastards. Weekend here. We've got Labour super donor Lord Ali evicted from family house. Evicted family from house and hiked rent by £1,000 a month. Jesus Christ. Which is not a good story at all, and we should do away with landlords. I don't mean do them away in a Charlie Kirk kind of way. I just think that landlords shouldn't be a thing. Mandelson, number 10, was told. So this is another story about Starmer. Who, you know, so the idea is with the mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham. Burn him! We didn't burn him. I always think of that quote when I say his name. He might stand as an MP and then make a leadership challenge against Starmer. And this is not helping. This is really not helping. Mandelson, number 10, was told. So this story in the Times here is essentially saying that number 10 knew about the emails that were going to come out, Mandelson's emails. Do you know how they knew about the emails? Because Mandelson told them. Matt Mandelson told Starmer there were going to be emails that was going to be embarrassing. And no, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be right. So moving on. Cop dad turns in Kirk sniper. And then Trump saying killer deserves the death penalty because, you know, that's how you solve problems in society with violence. That's a good message to show people. I hope they don't take that to heart and then try and solve other problems in their lives with violence. And then we got Kemi saying crisis hit PM failing to tackle growing challenges. Hate to ever agree with Kemi Badenoch, but she's not wrong, is she? She's not fucking wrong. Anyway, time is running out. MPs warn Starmer on the front cover of The Guardian here on the left-hand side, which is, yeah, MPs are running out of patience. Like I was saying yesterday when we were doing the agenda, me and Phil, I was saying, look, you know, I'm not seeing him going the distance to the next election. And then the Independent here, we have him, Trump hails FBI capture of suspected assassin. This is hilarious. The FBI going, oh, we did such a great job. He was turned in by his dad. Like, they did nothing. They just sat there. Anyway, rush for deals ahead of Trump trip. And then we've got these pictures of the guy who shot Charlie Kirk, who turns out to be a right-winger, who was part of a group that was led by Nick Fuertes, who is another right-winger, who had a beef with Charlie Kirk for not being right-wing enough. It's funny how things go. Subscribe to the channel. Telling me, Martin, a moment, what? Utah governor called for death by firing squad. Jesus Christ. Was it the same Utah governor that prayed that the assassin was a foreigner? Yeah. An immigrant, I think they said. They prayed for that. Starmer eulogizing Kirk after all the nasty things he said was ludicrous, says Jim Bob Robog. Yeah. Suspect not a trans person, says Kirsty. Yeah, it hardly ever is, isn't it? It was a Mormon brought up in a very Republican household. But Kemi's idea of what is failing might not be what we think is failing. Yeah, good point. Ernie Burns there. Yeah, very well made. And this killer guy seems mentally deranged. Yeah, well, he grew up in Trump's America, didn't he? And Trump is focusing on himself as always, says Kirsty. Yeah, but come on, it's hilarious, isn't it? That he's asked about the death of his friend and he starts going on about the ballroom. That's what a total lack of empathy looks like. That is what an absolute lack of empathy looks like. Oh dear, never mind, Next, please. What are we talking about now? What are we talking about today? Oh, yeah, he died. Yeah, okay, well, that was yesterday's story. Can we have me on the front cover of all the newspapers today, please? I need my face on the cover of all of the newspapers all of the time so everyone has to see Trump's goddamn ugly face. And, on the Mandelson story, he is set to receive six-figure golden handshake payout following his sacking. Well, that's nice, isn't it? Jesus Christ. These people never suffer, do they? Kirk's last thought, I finally understand empathy now, says Al. I don't think his brain was that advanced that it would move to that place. I think he could probably just think, ow. Sorry, the blinds are going down automatically. Siri, open the blinds. I'm in a house. I'm in a voice activated house, and these blinds are like set on a timer. There you go. Look, no hands. I need to set this up right. We could if I say the word super chat and the word super chat comes up on the screen without me having to press anything. That would be cool. Sorry, I'll let that go back up. Thanks, Siri. Okay, maybe I said something that made them come down. I don't know. How can you be sacked from a job and receive a golden handshake? Well, because that's what happens to rich people. That happens to rich people all the time. Not to us, not to the rest of us. But yeah. Wow, Graham did that impersonation really well. Which impersonation? He's about other Graham, because that's not the way I spell my name. I'm Martin, but he would throw us under the bus like Starmer has for political convenience. Yeah, but this is the thing, Kirsty. It's not politically convenient to throw trans people under the bus. It's not politically convenient. All it does, and even Phil agrees on this, it just loses votes. It doesn't win a single vote. It just loses votes for you. It's just a vote loser, not a vote winner. It's the most ridiculous thing that Labour can do. It's not just morally repugnant, as clearly it is, isn't it? All transphobia and bigotry in that respect is morally repugnant. But it's just politically naive. It's politically stupid. It's like doing the stupidest thing they could possibly do. One says, one angry ping says, I'm still very wary of changing leaders so early. Something tells me it might not be the best idea given global instability. Yeah, one angry ping, I'm minded to agree with you to an extent, but it's why I said I can't see him still being the leader if things don't change by the next election. I think, another couple of years of this inability to adapt to the growing, to situations. And Phil thinks that it's just a case of changing the advisor. And yeah, that might make the next, it might make the whoever comes in next as a advisor that may make the Labour Party as a whole make better decisions, but a lot of people have already made their minds up on Starmer. A lot of my trans friends are like, I'm never going to vote for Labour. I'm never going to vote for Labour again because of him. Now, I'd say that if another leader came in and apologised profusely to the trans community and then actively did things to help trans people, an update to the Gender Recognition Act so that it wasn't so hard to transition, get rid of this ban on puberty blockers for trans children but not for cis children, all that stuff that they should be doing. It might make at least a few people in the trans community go, okay, well, that was all Starmer and West Streeting and their fucking dickheadedness. But here's the thing, the vast majority of Labour MPs are not transphobic. None of the ones that I converse with on a regular basis are transphobic in any way, shape or form. And yeah, I understand the impulse to say, right, that's it for me. I'm never going to go back there. But the real politic of the situation is there's no one that can take on reform at the next election apart from Labour. They're the only ones who can. And I'm hoping that Zach Polanski and the Greens and Ed Davey and the Lib Dems and the guys in the SNP can by trying to drag the Overton window back to the left when it comes to trans rights, when it comes to migrant rights, when it comes to celebrating immigration, when it comes to carers, mental health provision. I'm hoping that they will influence the Labour government so that Labour actually do more things that are socially progressive, because I think that's what Labour should be doing. I think that's what Labour are always expected to do. I don't give a shit what they were like in the 1920s. And my worry is what they're like now. And people voted for them expecting a change, expecting it to feel different. And I would say that for most of us, it doesn't feel materialistically different in any way, shape or form to when the Tories were in. They are vilifying minorities in society. They're not doing anything to stop people from having to take this dangerous journey over the channel in a boat. They need to have a returns agreement with France, and they need to have a not a detention centre but an application centre set up in Calais, so people who have already made the journey all the way to northern France don't have to then get in the boat and risk their lives, risk their children's lives to come over. But Labour's saying that migrants are a bad thing. They're parroting the refuck tune. Obviously, we've talked about this a lot on the channel, so I'm not going to go on about it again. But it is just it's not what we wanted. A lot of us are feeling like it's not what we voted for. I mean, I voted to get rid of the Tories more than anything else, but seeing Labour going after trans people, going after disabled people, going after immigrants, what's the difference with the Tories? If the Tories were still in power, would we be seeing something materialistically different? If the Tories were in power when the Supreme Court decision came down, would they have behaved any different to Labour? No, they would have done exactly the same thing. They would have gone, oh great, we can stop trans people from using the toilet now. Because that's the most important thing that's happening on the planet right now. And he says, I've seen that sci-fi story, the house is going to fall in love with you and lock you in the fridge. It'd be so much fun. Chris, a more progressive world cannot be stopped, just delayed, maybe backtrack for a bit, but not stopped. The harsh thing is those trapped in the hurt. Yeah, true. Kirsty says, my big fear is that the Overton window moves back. We trans will be left stranded with still managing the damage Starmer has left behind. I appreciate that, and I understand that. That's why I'm saying that if Labour does get a new leadership in a couple of years' time, I hope that one of the first things they do is make a big deal about how they are going to not just reverse the shit that Starmer and his government have done under the Supreme Court ruling, which is going to be overridden by the European Court of Human Rights, and the only reason why it went ahead in the first place was because they wanted the people in charge, the billionaires that run everything, wanted some way of making the European Court of Human Rights seem like a bad thing. So they do it by having refugees. We don't need to have refugees coming over in boats, but we have refugees coming over in boats, so they can blame the European Court of Human Rights for not being able to deport these people back to a war zone. they go after trans people, knowing that trans people will fight back and then take the case to the European Court of Human Rights. And then they'll say, oh, this foreign court, it's not a foreign court, it's our court, we're part of it, we help set it up, we have judges on the court. But yeah, they'll say this foreign court is telling us how we can treat trans people. It's a Trojan horse. It's a Trojan horse to take rights away, not just from trans people, not just from immigrants, but for everyone. And we've already seen Farage say that he wants to stop the ability of anyone who is from another country from having opinions in this country, and he will extend that. Of course he will, as we've seen in the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. They'll use any means necessary to shut us up, because the thing they are scared of most in this life is us, me, Gobby Scouser, with the YouTube platform. Not a very big one, but it's big enough for me, for my, to keep my head above water. And they're terrified of that. They're terrified of people going on the internet and speaking their brains when they're not marching in lockstep with the fucking goose-stepping morons who went to these posh private schools and learned how to become See You Next Tuesdays. And yet they go, oh, nobody gave me anything. Look at me, nobody gave me anything. Yeah, no one gave you the toilet that you shat in for the first 18 years of your life. You made that toilet. You made those sewers. You made those streets. You made those flyovers. You made those train lines. You laid them yourself. You built that school. Well done. Well done. You're a self-made man. So far, the protests in London are staying peaceful. Oh, Tommy Ten Names is out, isn't he, with his fucking idiot friends in London protesting against something. I don't know. And materially speaking, since Labour took over, I've seen a decent uplift to disability universal credit and better access to my GP and a massive uptick in badger vaccinations. Yes, well, we'd rather have vaccinations than culling. We're friends of badgers here. Kirsty says, yes, I'm supporting the Good Law Project, fight against the EHRC, not the ECHR, but the EH. Please donate. Find it on Google if it's your preferred search engine. I'll try and find it for you, Kirsty. Let's go to Good Law Project. Project Trans Equalities and Human Rights Commission. It's easiest to get them mixed up, isn't it? Okay, and then the fight goes on. Here we go. Sign up. Help us. Okay, yeah. All right. So this is challenging the Equality and Human Rights Commission's transphobic guidance, and the High Court will consider the case in November, and you can chip in. There's the link for that. And while we're in a linky mood, to be all linky, like Richard Linklater, who's a director, and Link from Zelda. I'm just about to. I'm just paddling at the moment until I can think of the right words to say. Oh God, I hate it when you start typing in and then it takes you to the wrong thing. Okay, so here is the link that you need to come and visit me and Phil in real life. We're going to be talking about Labour's comms and how to fix them. This is going to be during the Labour Party conference, but it's not going to be in the conference. You don't need to be a Labour Party member. You don't need to have a ticket for the conference in order to come along to this event. It is going to be held at the Ship and Mitre pub in Liverpool, which is a really friendly pub. And if you're into your real ales, it's really good. I've just put the link in the chat there, the Eventbrite link. Tickets are free if you want to get a ticket, and donations are welcomed, but you don't have to donate necessarily if you don't wanna. But yes, we're going to be talking on the 29th of September. So in 2 weeks and 2 days time, we're going to be talking about Labour comms. And if you'd like to come to that, you are very, very welcome to do so. So I'll just tell you what I'm doing in the last sort of minute of the show. I'm going to see the movie Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro, who I met the other day. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I'm going to be seeing that. It should be fun. it should be fun. And then I am going to be packing my stuff, saying ta-ra to Cliff and Doug, who have put me up and put up with me for the last week here in Toronto. And I will be jumping on a flight, on a jet plane, to because I do fly now and again, to Costa Rica, to San Jose, the capital of Costa Rica. Do you know the way to San Jose? Well, obviously not, because there's two San Joses. There's one in California, and there's a different one. Is it California? Maybe. And there's a different one in what's it called? Costa Rica, which is fine. It's not as mad as the fact there is a Panama City in Florida. That's the maddest one for me. It's like when you get a flight to Panama City, it'll come up Florida, and you're like, hang on, what? It's literally called Panama City. But it's not the capital of Panama, which is also Panama City. Anyway, so I'll be flying there. I'll be arriving about 11 o'clock tonight, my time. So, 4 o'clock in the morning for you. And then I will be staying at the Backpackers for 6 hours, I think, by the time I get there, by the time I have to leave. Then I'll be getting on a bus. I'll be buying a SIM card when I get to the airport. So hopefully I'll have internet. So you might be able to join me on the bus. The signal's not great, to be honest with you. So we might get a few minutes while we're still going through, trying to get out of San Jose in the morning. But I'm going to be taking the bus to the border with Panama near Bocas del Toro, and then I'll be crossing the border probably around 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something, and then heading down to Amarante, which is the port town, which is really grotty. This grotty port town that serves Bocas del Toro town, which is in Bocas del Toro archipelago, which is on the island of Colón. So I'll be getting the boat over there. Depending on mobile signal and whether my phone works and stuff, I will be trying to broadcast as much of this nonsense as possible. And then I'll be heading over to Ginger Island. So by sundown tomorrow, hopefully I'll be back on the island, and then we will start doing island brews. So the first island brew will be 1 o'clock in the afternoon, your time, in the UK, and that will be on Monday. So please join me for that. In the meantime, I will be just doing mad little bits of shit, just impromptu reports from the road. I'll be doing them on this Politics Social channel. I should be doing them on my other channel, Graham Hughes Travels, but at the moment that's not set up for doing live streams and stuff like that, so I need to work on that channel and get it to a point where I can do the live streams on that, so I'm not bugging the people who just want politics with me going, oh, I'm on a bus station, I'm on a bus, I'm on a train. Story of my life. But yes, in the meantime, if you do want to subscribe to the channel and press the bell notification icon, that means that you will actually get a buzz in your pocket when I'm about to go live or when I've just gone live, and you'll be able to join in the chat with me on my phone. Whew. Okay, that's a lot. Got through it all though, got to the end. And then Darian says, is the Liverpool event accessible to wheelchair users? Thank you very much for the super chat, Darren. There is a staircase to go up. I don't know if there's a lift in the building because it's a listed building. It's a really, really old building. I can find out for you. I'll put ship and later. Accessibility upstairs. Ship and mitre. Oh, there's a roof terrace. No, what? Ship and mitre. No, I think I might have to email them. I mean, it's 100 years. Where we're having the meeting is like that part of it's like 100 years old. Sorry, I don't think there is a lift. Although there must be a lift, because otherwise how do they get all the beer up there? I don't know. But I will find out for you, and I'll let you know, Darren. Okay, thanks for the super chat and the question. I really should have thought about that because, accessibility, big thing on this channel. But we're going to be streaming it. We're going to be live streaming it, so you'll be able to watch it from home, so you don't have to drag your arse all the way to Liverpool if you don't want to. And Ernie Ben says, light and peace. Oh, that's a nice way of finishing off the last Canada brew for a while. I hope you've enjoyed these broadcasts from Canada over the last week or so. And until I see you again on the road, going through Costa Rica, going through Panama, landing on the island. I will say thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the super chats, really appreciate it. Give us a like on the way out if you liked the show and liked what we were talking about today, which was essentially that the right is trying to shut everybody up who doesn't agree with them about, the fact that this guy died, and some of us felt, well, a sense of relief. We just did. Sorry. Not sorry. We just did. And we need to bear in mind that we live in a society in which the filthy rich, these oligarchs, these billionaires who are controlling everything, they want to control how we live our lives because they don't want us traveling. They don't want us living in other countries. They don't want us falling in love with someone from another country or getting married or having children with someone from another country. They don't want us speaking our minds. They don't want us getting ideas above our station. They don't want us involved in the arts. They don't want to see us in films. They don't want to see us on the TV. They don't want us to tell our stories. And they're doing a fucking great job. They're doing a fucking great job. And there are some people who are in our cohort of non-billionaires, non-millionaires, our cohort, who you will think will be rallying against these motherfuckers, but they're not. They're joining them and going, yeah, this is great. This is exactly what I want. This is what my heart desires. Well, as Charlie Kirk's death shows you, sometimes you might not want what your heart desires. Sometimes what your heart desires could end in, disaster for yourself. So, like I say, sometimes dreams do come true. Sometimes maybe they shouldn't. Okay, so I will see you when I see you. You take care. I'll definitely be back on Monday, one way or another, 1 o'clock. I'll try and make it 1 o'clock that I'm broadcasting if I can get internet and signal and electricity and 100 other things that I might need. If everything goes to plan, I will see you on Monday morning, but I might see you before then if I decide to do a little broadcast from the road. So please join me for that as we travel together to Ginger Island, and I'll see you on Island Brew on Monday. And until then, thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.